guys? Welcome back to The Garden. I'm your host, Taryn Colvin, and I am so glad that you're here. I know it's been a few weeks, and for that, I apologize. I will be releasing the amount of episodes that I have missed. So I think there was 2 weeks that I missed, but I will be releasing the amount of episodes that I have missed. So don't even worry. I'm going to make it up to you guys. Again, I apologize. Today's episode was inspired by a Whoa, That's Good podcast episode that I was listening to the other day. And there was something that they talked about that I really wanted to share. And actually, there was multiple things that they talked about that I want to talk about on here. But this one in particular seems to be a reoccurring question that I keep hearing. And the question is, do you want to get well? So today I'm going to be reading out of John 5, 1 through 15, and Mark 5, 25 through 34. So in John 5, starting in verse 1, it says, "After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, 'Do you want to be healed?' The sick man answered him, 'Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I'm going another steps down before me.' Jesus said to him, 'Get up, take up your bed, and walk.' And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. Now that day was the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, 'It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to take up your bed.' But he answered them, 'The man who healed me, that man said to me, Take up your bed and walk.' They asked him, 'Who is the man who said to you, Take up your bed and walk?' Now the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, as there was a crowd in the place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, 'See, you are well. Sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you.' The man went away and told the Jews that this was Jesus who had healed him." Now, this isn't even my main point, but one of the parts that gets me is that I wanted to just draw attention to is that there was a multitude of sick and hurting people gathered around that pool. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the water, yet Jesus himself was standing there. They were so focused on their own chosen way that they were missing the one true way standing right in front of them. And honestly, that's pretty common of us, to wait for something else instead of going to Jesus. Some wait for a more convenient season. Some wait for signs and wonders. Some wait to feel compelled. Some wait for revival. Some wait for a feeling. Some wait for someone else to carry them. A lot of times, we have a way or a thing that we want to happen first. We have a way that we want it to happen. And God's ways are not our ways. But sometimes we don't even ask him what his ways are. And we are just focused on our own way. And it's just so interesting to me that there was a whole group of people in the midst of Jesus himself. And they didn't even know it, or maybe they knew it but didn't think that he was capable, or didn't know the power that really lived in him. And for us, nowadays, it's so important that we read our Bibles and we know the Word, so that in times of struggle or of need, we know the name to call upon. We know the thing that we need is not magic water or someone else to carry us or or a more convenient season or the right feeling, but the thing we need is Jesus. Moving on, Jesus asked the man, "Do you want to be healed? Do you want to get well?" And what really gets me, and I haven't really noticed it until recently, or it just hasn't really clicked with me until recently, is that the man never actually says yes. His first response is excuses. And with that, I think there are a lot of people who say they want healing. But if we're honest, some people don't actually want to get well. And you're like, Taryn, if any of us are needing healing, then we all want to get well. No, listen, because getting well requires change. Healing means responsibility. Freedom means you can't keep living chained to the same things. Jesus came so that we could be free. So why do we choose to stay behind bars that God didn't build? This man had been there for 38 years, and he claimed there was nobody to help him into the water. At some point, though, the excuses became part of his identity. For 38 years, his bed had been carrying him. His disease had been carrying him. And so many people are walking through things that they don't know how to overcome. And eventually, discouragement and the state that they're in becomes comfort. As it said, Jesus said, "Pick up your bed and walk." And he picked up his bed and he was able to walk and his body was restored. The man's body had changed, but his heart didn't. When the Pharisees confronted him for carrying his mat on the Sabbath, he immediately shifted the blame onto Jesus. And that's when Jesus later warns him, "Stop sinning or something worse may happen to you." And it wasn't necessarily meaning that more sickness physically would come upon him, but that there would be a spiritual separation. If you keep sinning and keep choosing that way and your heart's not changed, then you might not spend eternity with me. That's what Jesus was saying. Because a heart unchanged is more dangerous than a body unhealed. What's the point of your physical being changing if your heart never does? Then there's the woman with the issue of blood in Mark 5:25 through 34. And a completely different mindset. And I'll read it here for you. "And there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and it was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard the reports about Jesus, and came up behind him in the crowd, and touched his garment. For she said, 'If I touch even his garment, I will be made well.' And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, 'Who touched my garments?' And his disciples said to him, 'You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, "Who touched me?" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, and fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, 'Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease.'" This is someone who is actively pursuing healing. She suffered under many physicians. She spent everything that she had, and nothing had worked. But then she heard about Jesus. She knew the power that was in him, and she believed, "If I can just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be healed." She pushed through the crowd, reached for Jesus, and she was healed immediately. Jesus felt the power leave him and asked, "Who touched me?" And the woman fell before him in fear and trembling and tells him the whole truth. And that right there When you're ready to tell the whole truth is when you're ready to get well. Healing begins where excuses end. Freedom begins where blame stops. Jesus cannot heal the version of us that we keep hiding behind. In the last verse, it says, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Go in peace. Peace is internal. That's inside. Go in peace and be healed of your disease. Getting well isn't only physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's heart transformation. So I ask you, in love, do you truly want to get well? Or have you become comfortable sitting in the same hurt, the same habits, and the same excuses? Healing is just as accessible today as it was then. But the thing is, Jesus isn't only after changed circumstances. He's after transformed hearts. He doesn't just want to heal what's hurting you. He wants to heal what's hiding inside of you. The parts of you that you're hiding behind. And it requires you being honest and telling the whole truth and laying it all down. It requires you to get uncomfortable to then be able to go in peace. The man by the pool had 38 years of excuses, and the woman had 12 years of blood that she did everything she could to try and stop. When she heard about Jesus, she went to Jesus, but she didn't know about him yet. She didn't know about him sooner, so she did everything that she could, that she knew how to do. She went to all the physicians, she gave everything that she had, and nothing made her better. And then she learned about Jesus. And how many of us know about Jesus already and we're still not going to him? She didn't want to come up with excuses. She wanted healing. And she believed that she would be healed. She had heard about Jesus. She knew what he was capable of. And she said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know that's all I'll need. We have the ability to talk to him anytime that we want. We have the gift of prayer. And we have a direct line. And we don't even use it. You don't need a phone. You don't need some special way to call on God. You just need your voice. So do you really want to get well? Or are you stuck in the same hurt, the same habits, and the same excuses? Because it's when you're ready to tell the whole truth, when you're ready to bring all that stuff to light, that's when you're ready to get well. And sometimes it's something that most times, it's something that you've dealt with for years. And so there's a sense of comfort that comes with it because you've been dealing with this for so long. You've been fighting this battle for so long. You've been in these same patterns for so long that there's a sense of comfort to it. And it's going to be uncomfortable bringing it all up to the surface. It's going to be uncomfortable telling the whole truth. But if you want to go in peace, if you want to get well, that's what you got to do. And that sounds worth it to me. You don't have to go hunt down Jesus. You don't have to go push your way through a crowd just to pull and tug on the hem of his garment. You can call on him right here, right now, in your car, on your couch, in your bed. Wherever you are, he is too. And by just speaking the name of Jesus, you have a direct line to him. So there really are no excuses. Because even the woman who could have had them didn't. Jesus didn't have to ask her if she wanted to be well because he knew it. He could see it in her faith, and he could see it in the way she put action to her faith. He could see it in the way that she did everything that she could. He had to ask the man by the pool because 38 years. And you telling me there was no one to put you in the pool? I mean, if you've been by the pool for 38 years with this infirmity, and someone comes along and asks you if you want to get well, I'm not giving excuses. I'm like, yeah, you got an idea? I've been dealing with this thing for 38 years. I want to get well. But he was like, you know. Jesus was like, no, I don't. Pick up your bed and walk. I think we got some beds that it's time to pick up. It's time to stop letting our beds, our habits, our patterns, our diseases carry us. And it's time to start carrying them to Jesus. I love you guys so much. I'm so thankful that you're here. And just remember that the garden is a place that you don't have to come alone because we're all growing too. Like I said, I will make it up to you and will be releasing episodes for the weeks that I did miss. And so I will see you guys very soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. Let's stop making excuses and start making our way to Jesus. Let's start being honest. Let's lay it all down. Tell him the whole truth. It'll be worth it. The peace on the other side will be worth it. All right. I love you guys so much. I'll see you soon. Bye.